Hello, pet lovers. I know the importance of that flea treatment, that monthly flea treatment. I know how important it is in keeping your furry friends healthy and happy. But what if I told you that that treatment could be killing bees, polluting rivers, and even killing baby birds? Well, stick around because in the next few minutes, we'll be discussing something that might change completely how you care for your pets. Now, a good number of pet owners have these treatments that they sometimes is preventative, where the vets actually recommend that you apply, and it's that little thing that you drop on their necks, at the back of their neck, and usually it's dropped there to prevent them from leaking these things, because we know it's toxic. Recent evidence is beginning to show that that thing, although kills the fleas very well, might be killing more than just the fleas. The big question then becomes, what can we do as individuals, as everyday people, to combat this problem? Now, to put this in perspective, you see, a monthly flea treatment for your typical large dog, like an average large dog, contains enough of one of these pesticides called Imidacloprid. Now, it contains as much concentration of that chemical to kill 25 million bees. Now, I'll let that sink for a bit. So imagine you treating your dog for just 1 month, your large dog, for just 1 month, and releasing so much chemical into the environment to kill 25 million bees. Now, I wouldn't take your time to start explaining the importance of the bees in the whole food chain. They are pollinators, very, very important to ensure that we survive. This strange interdependency of nature, one thing relates to the other. And so if by one action you wipe out 25 million bees, imagine the stretched out impact or the domino effect that creates. In the United Kingdom, the last statistics I saw shows that there are approximately 25 million cats and dogs, most of which undergo these treatments at least a couple of times in a year. And so this is a serious concern that people need to start talking about. Overwhelming evidence has shown that these chemicals are actually found in over 98% of rivers across England. 100%, in one research, 100% of a certain bird nest, that beautiful bird, the blue teats or great teats, those beautiful birds? Yep. 100% of their nests contained these chemicals. So, I think it's okay and it's important for us to talk a bit about this. And that's my job. So, once you apply that stuff on their neck, usually it spreads through the fur or on the skin or through the grease glands. And to be fair, it actually keeps the fleas away for sometimes up to 3 months. But every time you take your dog for a walk, I'm sure you would agree with me, the dogs like dipping into rivers, and that dip comes with grave consequences. And not just when the dogs take a dip. When we apply those things, oftentimes we wash our hands down the drain. That water goes into the water system. The treatment facilities are not usually designed or able to get rid of all of these things. And somehow they find themselves back in the environment. Some of the shampoos we use in washing the dogs and cats contain these chemicals. Again, another way they get into the environment. So, the summary of that is, the chemicals don't stay on the dogs killing the fleas. They often leave the dogs and get into the environment. And once they get into water, that's a different story entirely. So, in the water, we have a lot of insects whose life cycle require them laying eggs, and then the eggs turn into larvae in water. I'm talking about things like dragonflies, mayflies. Those are very important source of food to fish and other animals in in the water. These chemicals wipe them out, starving the fish, reducing the fish number. It's just a domino, a chain effect that comes back to affect each and every one of us. And now let's talk a bit about the bird sides, right? So these blue teeth that I just talked about, they often use animal fur to insulate their nests. So they go collect fur from animals. When you brush your dogs or your cat, oftentimes that hair that you get rid of, somehow these birds find those and use them to insulate their nests. If those fur contains these chemicals, yes, the baby birds in the nest get infected, and oftentimes they do not survive. And in case you're still doubting the toxicity of these chemicals, now I'll draw your attention to the fact that these chemicals were previously being used for agricultural purpose, and they were banned because of how toxic they are. But what we may have failed to realize is, yes, they've been banned in agricultural use, but they are legally being used for pesticides. And so, wash your dog, wash your hands after applying the pesticide. It goes into the system, goes into water, kills mayflies, kills other sorts of things, and the cycle goes on and on. So, what can we do? Point number one, only use these treatments when you have to. Now you see the environmental impact of the treatment. So why just go about using them for the sake of use? Number two, when you brush your hair, especially after applying these treatments, when you brush your pets and comb your pets after applying these treatments, make sure you collect the fur carefully and dispose that responsibly, because if that ends up in the environment, those innocent birds might pick them up and get into trouble. Also, these treatments come in packages, so when you use the packages, how do you dispose of the containers, the gloves and whatever you use? Again, if you ensure that it's properly disposed, so you don't just dump them in the environment so it gets washed into waterways, or making sure allowing particles to drop and getting washed into waterways, that might be a good thing to help the environment. And I've heard a lot of talk about alternatives, things like using vinegar and lavender oil, rosemary oil, and things like that. I have also seen warnings that some dogs actually react to these things. So please check carefully, but there are alternatives that do not contain some of these toxic chemicals. I mean, I've checked on Amazon before and I've seen a few of them with very good reviews. People saying they're effective, although there are a few reviews where they say absolute rubbish. But that's the same with everything. There are people who sometimes I think they just go to sites to just leave ugly and bad comments when they're having a bad day. So, bottom line is, flea treatment might be harming more than just the fleas. Use them wisely, sparingly, and only when you have to use them. So, by making these small changes, we can help protect wildlife, rivers, and the future generation. So, if you enjoyed this video, why not like, share, and also subscribe for more eco gist and eco tips. Thank you very much for watching. See you again soon. Cheers.